Hello, greetings, namaste. This video is about my course that I conduct every year in India called Diagnostic Methods and Skills of Ayurveda. And you should have a good understanding or a thorough understanding of the fundamentals of Ayurveda, including the tridoshic system, the subdoshas, the gunas, the datsus, the samtrapsi, the agni, and ojas and ama before taking this course. The course covers the three modes of diagnosis as per Ayurveda. Observation of skin, shape of the body, the tongue, called darshan, and touching the skin and the organs and reading the pulse, called sparshan, and the questioning skills of the patient, parshan. So these are the three modes of diagnostics in Ayurveda. Ayurveda has very sophisticated diagnostics system, and these three totally independent modes give you three different ways of diagnosing your patient. So we generally look for at least two of them to align before we come to a conclusion. And of course, if all three these systems of observing the person and seeing the face, the lines in the face, the marks in the face, we're observing the nails, the fingernails, we're touching the skin, maybe we're touching some organs, and then we're questioning to confirm the diagnostics conclusions that we have from the first two methods of observing and touching. And once we have two or more of these methods communicating or indicating the same diagnostics result, then we can be sure that we have a proper diagnostics. And I find a lot of practitioners, not just Ayurvedic practitioners, don't have strong diagnostic skills. Everybody wants to learn the herbs and learn how to give out diet and learn which herbs for what. But if you don't have good diagnostic skills, then you may give out the wrong herbs. And you don't want to be relying on just what the client says, because the client may not understand their own condition. Many clients are confused. Even the blood work and the urine work are coming from medical doctors may not be conclusive. So these diagnostic methods are very, very important, and to be very and it's important for you to be very strong at these diagnostic methods. The objective of this course is to give the student this practical knowledge and hands-on experience in a wide range of diagnostic skills. These are skills that have to be practiced, you know. It's not just something you can read out of a book and you're going to know it. You have to practice it. And it will give not only skills, but these methods to accurately diagnose different forms of imbalances, because we're not diagnosing looking for disease, we're looking for doshic imbalances in the state of ama, the state of agni, and where are the imbalances in which tissues and systems in the body. So the course it's required to, there's one book that's required called Pathology and Diagnosis of Ayurveda by Atreya Smith, which is the advanced reading. So you have to do 100 hours of reading prior to the course. And during the course, we do 50 hours of teaching, 25 hours with myself and 25 hours on your own. So this is 150 hours total. This is over 7 days. And there's 5 intensive days, and then there's the first day and then the last day. The outline of the course is, first we're learning these three different diagnostic methods: questioning, observing, and touching. And then we practice each one of them. We're learning to diagnose, first of all, the doshic imbalances of Vata Pitta Kapha, doshic vriddhi, increase of the dosha. We're understanding the 6 stages of disease, which is a form of diagnosis, and understanding the pathology. In Western medicine, they only really acknowledge or are able to see the 5th and 6th stage, but in Ayurveda, we have 6 stages of pathology. So the 5th stage, we can see the disease manifesting, but we can see the progression of the disease in this, particularly the 3rd and the 4th stage. So it's important to understand where a person is in the state of having a doshic imbalance, and that's the 6 stages. And then, of course, you have to be able to diagnose the different types of agni, and this is very advanced and sophisticated, and compared to the Western approach, where we just say we have gut health or bad digestion. Here, Ayurveda has very different types of states of Agni, and we need to understand these, which you should have understood from the first course, and now in the second course we're learning to identify them. See, this second course is very much tied to the first course. The first course we're learning the 3 types of Agni, or 4 types of Agni. In the second course we're learning how to identify them and diagnose them and look for the signs and symptoms of these states of digestion as per Ayurveda. And then we need to learn how to diagnose Ama. In the first course we learned what is Ama, and the second course we learned how to identify it and diagnose it, mostly by observing the tongue and other forms. And we role play these. So we then pair up, and you'll move to each of the other participants and you'll diagnose them and determine what their Agni is. And you only have like a few minutes to do this for each person. So you have 5 minutes to determine that person's state of Agni by touching, looking, questioning, and then you go to the next person. So this creates the skill. That's why you can't learn this type of study from a book. You can't learn this study from just diagnostic skills just from reading. You have to practice it, and somebody has to, tell you, oh, this is correct, this is not correct, this is what you look for. There's the signs, and we have all the other participants become examples. We can say this particular person, look at his tongue, see, that's Manda Agni. Look at this person. See his tongue? This is Trikshna Agni. Look at this person. This is Vishama Agni. Then you'll never forget because you're seeing it and it's being confirmed to you. And then, of course, we want to understand the 3 waste products, which we'll learn about what they are in the first course, and we'll learn to identify them in the second course. We'll learn to observe the skin and the nails, and we'll practice that. We'll get in role-playing environments where we're diagnosing each other by just looking at the skin, looking at the fingernails, and the face. Every line, every bump, every pimple, every mole, every dark spot, every red spot, all has meaning. So when we learn these skills and we practice them, then we can diagnose people just by observing their face. And we can learn a lot about a person from their nails, particularly the Ashtidatsu, the bone and the state of Vata, by looking at the nails. And then we'll learn to analyze the 16 systems in the body. So, Ayurveda is very thorough. It's like going to a car mechanic and, asking the car mechanic to just check every system in the body, in the car. That's what we're doing. We're checking every system in the human body. So you need to be able to understand in the first course what are these systems, and the second course we learn to look for the signs and the symptoms to understand the state of these systems from the Ayurvedic point of view. So again, we'll be practicing that. And then of course Nadi Prakisha, deep surface and deep pulse reading. Reading the pulse is very advanced. We'll just focus on reading the surface pulse and the deep pulse, so you can see basic doshic imbalances, understand the prakriti and the vikriti of the person by their pulse. And of course we'll be role-playing this. And for teaching people on pulse reading, I've learned to do it gradually because this skill takes years, if not decades, to get good at. So it's important, I found, in teaching not to overwhelm the student, but just teach one thing to look for, like Vata Pitta Kapha and the surface pulse, and then we practice that one day, and then the next day we may do the deep pulse, and then the next day we may look at try to understand the digestive system. So each day I teach a little bit about pulse and then practice it at the end of each day. So we're learning pulse reading throughout the entire course, and of course we get to practice on each other. So it's a very effective way to learn, because if somebody has a particularly clear pulse, like a person could have very high pitta or high panchaka pitta, and we can feel that in the pulse, and that person very clear, then everybody can feel that person's pulse, and then they will never forget what that panchaka pitta in the pulse feels. And same goes for Vata and Kapha. So usually we have a diverse group, and everybody has different doshic imbalances, and we can feel this in each other's pulses, and we learn in this manner. So a lot of role playing, a lot of practice, and you have to do a lot of study in advance, 100 hours of study prior to the course. But when you're done, you should have a good ability to diagnose yourself and start to diagnose others. Of course, this doesn't mean you can go straight into practice. First you're studying, then you're in this role play environment where you're learning and getting it, so to speak. People say, now I got it, now I understand it, now I feel it. And then you still need another, more time, maybe years of feeling your own pulse, feeling other family members, feeling other people's pulse, diagnosing many people over years to get, really good at it. But at least after this course, you have the skills and enough practice that you can then build on it. To actually get very good at it. Just like any skill, speaking another language or riding a bike or any skill takes practice. But if you don't learn with a teacher who understands how to do it properly, then you could learn a skill incorrectly, which we see a lot of people are learning Ayurveda too much on their own or from online courses, and then they don't have the real skills, and so they ultimately can pick up poor habits, and then these poor habits are very hard to correct later on. So it's better to learn properly from the beginning, learn from somebody who knows, and of course we have other Ayurvedic doctors who will be coming to these courses and answering some of your questions and contributing to the class as well. So this will give you an opportunity to understand this subject deeply, and of course in this case to have true diagnostic skills that can then give you the perfect foundation for treatment. So very important to have these good diagnostic skills before you begin in private practice or begin wanting to treat other people. Because I'll say it again, if you can't diagnose properly, then your treatment will not be effective. You're just guessing or listening to the client, and this is very dangerous in private practice, because in private practice you have to be accurate. So you have to understand what you're treating and have a clear diagnosis. This is really the most important part of being a practitioner. So I hope that helped you. I encourage you to contact me if you have further questions, and I hope you can join me for this course in beautiful Rishikesh, India. Thank you very much.
To thank Kabir very much for the training, class 1 and 2. It was very helpful. I had a great time. Really learned a lot. It was a really enjoyable trip and learning experience for me. Blessings to you, my friend.
Thank you very much, Sanjay. You're a good student. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Archana Seth and I'm here with Kabir to attend this program, and I feel very fortunate to be here and being his student, and I've learned so much about Ayurveda, and I feel everyone should learn a little bit of Ayurveda so that you can evaluate your condition, your health condition. We go and spend on so much on medicines, but it's better to spend on a course like this. And thank you Kabir, thank you so much. I'm so fortunate here, and I'm here for the second course too because I've really had fun here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
your feedback. Thank you.